Bonjour, je m'appelle Urszula, and today I'm going to talk about the long-term effects of partial cutting of low and high intensity on saproxylic beetle communities in the boreal forest. Clear cutting is a very intense disturbance, and it negatively affects the ability of biodiversity to recover from this disturbance. But what if instead we harvest it in a way that resembles the natural disturbances that the forest experiences and recovers from, such as wind throw and insect outbreaks? One way we can do this is through partial cutting. So in partial cutting, we leave behind some of the trees in a stand. Over time, these trees mature and die, and this means that we have long-term deadwood deposition into the stand. This is important because much of forest biodiversity is saproxylic or dependent on deadwood. So we predicted if we went into a stand and we harvested 1/3 of trees only, over 20 years later, if we come back to the stand, the saproxylic beetle community should have recovered better than if we took 2/3 of trees from a stand or if we clear-cut the stand. So we went into the safe experiment of the Lac Duparquet Abitibi-Témiscamingue region because over 20 years ago, in the winter of 1998 to 1999, we had 1/3 partial cuts done here, 2/3 partial cuts, and 2 kinds of clear cuts, one with and without a burn treatment. In May to August of 2019, we returned and we set up flight intercept IBL traps to sample the saproxylic beetle community. We found, in terms of species richness, both of the clear cuts had a much reduced species richness than either of the partial cuts or the uncut control stand. In terms of overall saproxylic beetle abundance, all of the cutting treatments, the partial cuts and the clear cuts, had a lower, significantly lower saproxylic beetle abundance than the control stand. However, if you look at the 1/3 partial cuts, they still had a much higher overall saproxylic beetle abundance than any of the other cutting treatments. This was not the case for volume of deadwood. Volume of deadwood was highest in the 2/3 partial cuts. So it is not just the deadwood, the volume of deadwood that is influencing saproxylic beetles. But if you look at the graph of overall fungivore abundance, you see that this is much more similar in pattern to the overall beetle abundance. This means that potentially it's not just the volume of deadwood, but it's the fungivores that are driving this overall saproxylic beetle abundance, and this might be due to the fungi that colonize the deadwood. So in conclusion, 1/3 partial cuts are beneficial for long-term saproxylic recovery, but we need more than 20 years because 20 years later, our 1/3 partial cuts still do not look like our uncut control stands. Merci beaucoup.